Okay, so ito yung composition and structure ng 1899 Malolos Constitution. So it was drafted in Spanish. Ito yung lingua franca ng mga nakapag-aral ng mga panahon na yon. Okay, so the Constitution contained 39 articles divided into 14 titles which systematically address the principles of governance, liberty, and organization of the government. It also includes 8 transitory provisions. Itong mga transitory provisions na to, it outlined the measures for the transition from revolutionary governance to a functioning republic. Okay? So it was patterned after the Spanish Constitution of 1812, one of the earliest liberal constitutions in Europe, emphasizing parliamentary sovereignty and civil liberties. So the drafters also borrowed ideas from the charters of Belgium, known for its liberal constitution of 1831, and then from Mexico and Brazil, both influenced by their respective revolutionary struggles. From Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Guatemala, reflected the political traditions of the Latin America. From France also, yung French Constitution of 1793. Okay. Okay. So, other influences. So, yung Kartilya ng Katipunan, written by Emilio Jacinto, ay nakakuha rin doon ng mga provisions. Itong 1899 Constitution. Sorry. Yung mga ethical and moral guidelines of the Katipunan inspired the emphasis on equality and justice. Okay? Okay, from Biak na Bato Constitution, ay nakahiram din dito itong 1899 Constitution. Okay? Particularly its Republican ideas. Okay, and also kay Apolinario Mabini, yung kanyang constitutional program. He was known as the brains of the revolution. Yung vision ni Mabini for a strong central government was an important theoretical foundations. Okay, so yung mga key features nito, liberal democratic principles, number 1 nga, sovereignty resides in the people. Okay? And then of course, yung freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, no? And of course, protection against arbitrary detention were guaranteed. Nagkaroon na ng separation of powers, executive, legislative, and judiciary. Okay. Okay, so the Malolos Constitution is notable for its progressive stance on governance, rights, and of course relationship between the church and the state. Okay, Title 4, dito nakikita yung natural rights and popular sovereignty of Filipinos. So this title reflects the Constitution's core democratic and republican principles. Ito na nga, dito na establish yung sovereignty resides in the people, recognition of natural rights, equality of citizens. And then yung Title 3 naman, Article 4, freedom and equality. Article 3, Title 2, Article 4, yung form of government, ito na nga yung legislative, executive, and judiciary. Yung Title 2, dun sa Title 3 and Article 5, andito yung separation of the church and the state. Okay. Okay, so let's start with the Assembly of Representatives. It is a legislative heavy design. It has a unicameral body. Ito yung tinatawag na Assembly of Representatives, unicameral. Ano ibig sabihin ng unicameral? Ano pagkakaiba nito sa bicameral? Di ba yung bicameral composed of two houses? Yung House of Representatives tsaka Senate. Pero dito, sa 1899 Constitution ay unicameral ito. Isa lang. No? Isang house lang ito. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, single chamber legislature. Okay, so ang principal drafter nito ay si Felipe Calderon. He specifically pushed for a unicameral system. So the primary reason was a deep-seated fear of executive tyranny. No? So noon pa lang ay iniiwasan na yung authoritarianism, yung tinatawag nating executive tyranny. Noon pa lang. 1899 pa lang, ginagawa na nila ng mga batas para hindi ma-manipulate ng president ang lahat ng powers of the government. Okay? Dahil ito doon sa matagal na centuries of dealing with the absolute power of the Spanish governor generals. So they wanted to ensure na yung ultimate power ay rested with the elected representatives of the people, not a single president. Okay? So, members were elected for 4 years. Okay, yung president ay 4 years lang ang term. No? So, this established a regular democratic mandate, ensuring that the representatives remained accountable to their constituents. So yung mga member ng legislature ay dumadaan sa eleksyon, no? Every 4 years. Yung mga secretaries of the government were given a seat in the assembly. So it indicates a strong parliamentary influence. Okay? So, inaalaw yung mga cabinet secretary from the executive branch to sit in the legislative assembly. O, ganun noong mga panahon na yon. Okay, yung mga bills were introduced by members of the legislature or by the president. So, ibig sabihin, both branches, executive and legislative, ay meron silang tinatawag na lawmaking power or yung tinatawag na legislative initiative. So this cooperative approach meant the president could actively propose the government's agenda, but the assembly held the final say on passage. Okay. Okay, next. They are given rights to select their own officers. So sila ang nagbobotohan. Ano kung sino magiging speaker ng House or president, Senate president. Actually, walang Senate president noon, walang speaker of the House kasi nga unicameral. No? Unicameral. So yung mga matataas na pwesto, sila mismo ang nagbobotohan sa sarili nila. So the legislative remained an independent and co-equal branch of the government. They also have the right of impeaching the president. Yung mga cabinet members pwedeng ma-impeach, yung Chief Justice pwede itong ma-impeach, and of course yung Solicitor General. So ito ay isang indicator of legislative supremacy in the Malolos Constitution. Ibig sabihin, yung assembly ang nagiging ultimate check over the highest officials in both the executive and judicial branches. Kasi nga, by holding the power of impeachment over the president and his cabinet, na-ensure yung it ensure that the executive remains subordinate to the will of the assembly. Okay. Okay, so the executive branch is designed for subordination, vested in the president. Of course, siya ang head ng executive branch. While there was a distinct head of state, the president of the republic, the powers granted to this office were highly restricted compared to what we see in modern presidential system. So, ang task ng president was essentially yung execution ng mga batas na itinapasa by the powerful assembly. So, siya ang nagpapatupad ng batas. Okay, so hindi siya nakikialam sa policy making. So, he was elected by constituent assembly or yung assembly of the representatives. So this is a massive departure from a direct democratic election. Ibig sabihin ng direct indirect democracy tayo noon. Ibig sabihin ang nagboboto sa president ay hindi mga tao, kung hindi yung member ng Assembly of Representatives. So they will choose among themselves kung sino ba ang magiging head of the state or the president. Okay? So ibig sabihin kapag ang nag-upo sa iyo yung assembly, kailangan mong pumailalim o sumunod sa ninanais ng assembly, no? Ayun, so it ensures he remains subservient to their will. Okay, so 4-year term without re-election. So by strictly limiting the president to a single, walang re-election, 4-year term, the framers implemented a strong safeguard against the entrenchment of power. Hindi katulad ng panahon ni Marcos. 21 years siya na naging president. So it prevented any single individual for building a long-term political dynasty. Nagtitake ba kayo ng notes? Hindi. Mamaya pa, meron tayo ng mamaya. Okay, so walang vice president doon sa 1899 Constitution. No vice president. Ito yung isa sa mga unique features ng Malolos Constitution. Inumit nila yung position because a vice president elected nationwide could potentially rival the president. Totoo naman, ano? Maaaring maging mas popular yung vice president kaysa sa president at magiging kalaban pa ng president yung vice president. Tinanggal na nila yon. Furthermore, without a vice president, there was no automatic executive succession. Ano? Okay. Walang automatic executive succession. Pagka namatay yung president, magkakaroon uli ng election among the the House of Representatives. Okay, yung Constituent Assembly uli ang pipili ng President. Okay? Okay, itong 1899 Malolos Constitution ay it was never fully enforced due to the tumultuous political and military climate of the time. Okay, kasi nga yung nagkaroon ng ongoing war. The Philippines was effectively a territory of the United States upon signing the Treaty of Paris between Spain and the United States. So itong Treaty of Paris na to, nananalo na yung mga Pilipinong revolutionary against the Spanish, against Spain. Now, itong Spain, ang ginawa pa, ibinenta pa tayo sa United States. O kaya ang sumakop uli sa atin ay United States. Itinransfer lang nila yung sovereignty of the Philippines noong December 1898 because of the Treaty of Paris. Okay, so nagbayad ang United States sa Spain. Binayaran tayo, binili tayo sa Spain sa halagang $20 million. Kung ikukumpara natin sa pera ngayon yon, $20 billion yon. So it effectively made the Philippines a territory of the United States. Since we are under the territory of the United States, syempre ang magiging constitution natin ay yung Constitution of the United States. Kaya na-disregard yung Philippine Declaration of Independence noong June 12, 1898, nabaliwala yun. Okay, at kasamang nawala noon yung First Philippine Republic under the Malolos Constitution. Okay, so during the negotiation, walang Filipino leaders na tinanong or in-involved. Kaya nagkaroon ng resentment and sense of betrayal among the revolutionaries. Okay. So yan. It was placed from military to civil government. May dalawang act ang United States Congress na ipinasa that may be considered to have qualities of constitutionality. Okay. So ito yung Philippine Organic Act of 1902. So dito, the first organic law, so nagkaroon ng gradual shift aimed to prepare the Philippines for eventual self-rule while maintaining U.S. sovereignty. So parang binigyan tayo ng batas na to na ng karapatan na maghanda. I-prepare natin yung ating bansa or ating mga sarili para sa eventual self-rule or kalayaan. So nagkaroon ng 10-year grace period dito. 10 taon, sa loob ng 10 taon daw ay ibibigay na sa atin yung ating kalayaan at tayo na mag-govern sa sarili natin. So that was under the Philippine Organic Act. Okay, it provides the creation of the popularly elected Philippine Assembly. So popularly elected, ano ibig sabihin ng popularly elected? Ang bumoboto ay mga tao na. Yes. Yung population, kaya nga popular. Okay, yung legislative power would be vested in a bicameral legislature. Magkakaroon ng Senate at saka ng House of Representatives. So yun yung ng Philippine Organic Act of 1902. Mga key provisions nito, mayroon nitong Bill of Rights. No? And then of course, appointment of 2 non-voting Filipino resident commissioner as representative to US Congress. So nagkaroon tayo ng dalawang representative sa US Congress. Okay. And then yung pangalawa ay Philippine Autonomy Act of 1916. Ito yung Jones Law. So it was a significant piece of legislation passed by the United States Congress. It marked a crucial step in the political development of the Philippines during the American colonial period. Okay. So, before the Jones Law, the Philippines was governed by the Philippine Commission, which was an appointed body dominated by Americans. So, during that time, Filipinos had limited participation in the legislative process. So, the act was introduced to provide more autonomy to Filipinos and to pave the way toward self-government. Pagsasarili natin. Okay. Okay, so this act abolished the Philippine Commission, which had been the upper house of the legislature. It replaced the commission with the fully elected Philippine Senate, making the legislative completely elective. Elective na, hindi na appointed. Kaya nga, this move allows the Filipinos, the Filipino people, greater participation and control over their legislative affairs, symbolizing a shift towards self-governance. So it recognized Philippine independence as a stable government can be established. So preparation na naman ito, para daw sa ating pagsasarili. And then another one, the Hare-Howes Cutting Act of 1932. Okay, so it was the first official United States law promising Philippine independence. It was passed by the US Congress in 1932 and laid out the framework for granting the Philippines independence after a transitional period. Ano ba mga key points nito? So it is key points nito ay yung promise of independence. After a 10-year transitional period during which the country would prepare for full sovereignty. Okay, so nagkaroon tayo ng independence mission. Dito ay binubuo ni Sergio Osmeña and Manuel Rojas. Sila ay pinadala sa US para makipag-negotiate and advocate for this law. They supported the act and worked to ensure its passage. Ang problema, it was rejected by Manuel L. Quezon. Despite the promise of independence, ay nireject ito ni Senate President Manuel L. Quezon. Hindi pa siya presidente noon, Senate President pa lang. Quezon opposed the law mainly because it included provisions he found unfavorable. May nakita siya mga provisions na mali. Katulad yung mga US military and economic restrictions on the Philippines even after independence. Ibig sabihin, kahit na independent na tayo, ay pakikialaman pa rin tayo ng mga Amerikano. Magkakaroon pa rin ng mga US bases dito at yung economy natin, sila pa rin ang magpapatakbo. So parang ang dating kay Manuel L. Quezon ay sa papel. Sa papel lang yung ating sovereignty, yung ating independence. Dahil nga, makikialam din yung US sa military and economic aspect ng ating bansa. Okay? Okay, and then number 4, ito yung pang-apat, Tydings-McDuffie Act of 1934. It is also known as the Philippine Independence Act. So it was a landmark law passed by the U.S. Congress that formally established the process for Philippine independence. So the act gave the Filipinos the legal authority to draft their own constitution through a constitutional convention. Okay? So the first meeting of this convention was held on July 30. Nawala ba? Nawala. Okay, so it was held on July 30, 1934. Okay, so may mga Filipino delegates na tayo. They gathered to draft a constitution that would guide the future government of an independent Philippines. So it was headed by Claro M. Recto. No? He was unanimously elected as the president of the Constitutional Convention, highlighting his importance as a Filipino statesman and legal expert. Okay? Okay, so the act also provided for a 10-year transitional period during which the Philippines would operate as a Commonwealth, Commonwealth government with self-government while preparing for full independence. Okay. So itong act na to, nag-set ito ng formal legal framework for Philippine independence, which was scheduled to occur after the 10-year transitional period. Okay? Okay, the 1935 Constitution, ito yung tinatawag na Commonwealth of the Philippines from 1935 to 1946. So the Constitution drafted under the Tidings-McDuffie Act established the Commonwealth of the Philippines, which serves as a transitional government from 1935 to 1946, a period of 10 years. Ano purpose ng 1935 Constitution? So it was created as a transitional administration to prepare the Philippines for full independence. So ang aim nito para ma-develop yung country's political, economic, and social institution and to ensure a smooth transition to sovereignty. Okay? So unicameral din itong ating 1935 Constitution. Unicameral. This meant that there was a single legislative chamber responsible for making laws during the early years of the Commonwealth. Later, this was changed to a bicameral legislature. Later, naging bicameral na. Okay. Okay, so President and Vice President ay mayroong 6-year term. Nadagdagan yung term ng President. Dati 4 years lang, naging 6-year term without re-election pa rin. So it was amended in 1940. Nagkaroon, yung unicameral ay naging bicameral Congress, Senate and House of Representatives. Yung President and Vice President ay 4 years without re-election. Bakit nagkaganito? Okay, so this was the very first time that women can vote. Noong mga nauna, lalaki lang ang bumoboto, no? Because of the amendments in the 1935 Constitution, the right to vote for women. Okay? So ayun, yung President and Vice President originally ay 6 year ang term nila without re-election. And then na-amyendahan nito noong 1940, 4 years na lang ang term nila with re-election. Pwede na silang magkaroon ng re-election. Okay, so ito yung mga influences of the Constitution. Okay, it was influenced by the American Constitution, the Malolos Constitution, German, Spanish, Mexican, South American, and written English Constitution. And on February 8, 1935, the draft of the Constitution was approved by the Constitutional Convention. Na-ratify ito by President Franklin B. Roosevelt noong March 25, 1935. And noong September 1935, Manuel L. Quezon was elected as President of the Commonwealth. Okay, so from 1935 to 1946 ay may nakapagitan dito na mahalagang event. Ano yon? Ano yung nangyari? World War II. Yes. Sinakop tayo ng mga Hapon. Hindi pa natin nakakamit yung independence. Sinakop na tayo ng mga Hapon kaya naudlot yung ating pagiging independent. Okay, so with the Japanese occupying the Philippines, afterwards, nung magkaroon na ng liberation, natalo na yung mga Hapon, the Philippines was declared an independent republic noong July 4, 1940. Nababasa, nakikita nyo ba? 1940. July 4, 1940. Yes. No. Hindi. Dahil ang Japanese occupation ay nangyari from 1941 to 1945. Diba? Okay. And then, ang sumunod ay yung 1973 Constitution. So, after nung nung maging malaya na tayo or meron na tayong sariling government, nagtagal ito from 1935 hanggang 1973. So napakatagal na panahon na ginamit natin yung 1935 Constitution. And then ang pumalit dito ay yung 1973 Constitution. So noong 1969, ang president na natin ay si Marcos. Actually, 1964 ang president noon ay si President Marcos na. And then noong 1961, nanalo siya ng re-election. And on November 20, 1917, nagkaroon ng election of delegates to the Constitutional Convention. June 1, 1971, the convention began. Formally, si Carlos P. Garcia was elected as convention president. Now, namatay itong si Carlos P. Garcia, ang pumalit sa kanya ay si Diosdado Macapagal. Diosdado Macapagal. Si Diosdado Macapagal ay dating president. Siya yung pinalitan ni President Marcos. Si Diosdado Macapagal, yung tatay ni Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, na naging president din natin. Okay. Okay, so habang ginagawa yung convention, before the convention finished the war, ay biglang nag-declare si Marcos ng martial law. Dineclare ang martial law. So may mga delegado ang inaresto at in-exile, pinatapon sa malalayo. Pinatapon ni Marcos. Bakit kaya? Ano kaya dahilan ni Marcos? So, with Marcos as dictator, okay. So, noong 1969 nga, Marcos won re-election as President of the Philippines. So this was his second term, and it sets the stage for his extended hold on power. Noong November 20, 1970, okay, so nagkaroon na nga ng Constitutional Convention para gumawa ng para ma-revise yung 1935 Constitution. Pero habang ginagawa nila yung revision ay biglang nag-declare si Marcos ng martial law. Okay? So the declaration of martial law abruptly halted the work of the convention, of course. So may mga inaresto at may mga ikinulong at yung iba ay ipinatapon, no? And then yung authoritarian regime under martial law, of course, it curtailed political freedoms, nawala yung ating political freedom, and of course, directly impacting the constitutional process. Okay, so ito na nga yung authoritarianism of the Marcos regime. So yung incomplete convention, it allowed Marcos to manipulate the constitutional process. Minanipula na ni Marcos, ano? At ultimately it led to the 1973 Constitution that cemented his rule. No? Okay, so under kasi ng 1973 Constitution ay ang president ay can be re-elected in unlimited terms hanggang gustong maging president. Walang limit ang term ng president doon sa 1973 Constitution. No? So actually, kaya nag-declare ng martial law si Marcos ay para ma-manipulate nga yung Constitution natin at gawin niya itong 1973 Constitution para ma-prolong yung kanyang hold sa power. No? Ganon kagaling si Marcos. And for 21 years, saan kayo nakakita ng president 21 years na nanungkulan? No? Okay. So tuwing matatapos yung term niya, gumagawa siya ng paraan. At ito na nga yung pinakamagandang nagawa niyang pamamaraan, unlimited ang term ng president. Kahit 10 re-election, okay lang. Okay? Okay, so the 1973 Constitution supposed to introduce a parliamentary style of government. Okay, parliamentary. Hindi na presidential. No? So yung legislative ay binubuo ng unicameral 6-year terms of the member. And the president, siya ang magiging head of state, 6-year term, could be re-elected, unlimited number of terms. O tingnan nyo, galing niya, di ba? Ginawa niyang unlimited number of terms ng president. Para siya na lang lagi ang maging president. Okay. So yung executive power, yung prime minister ang magiging head of the government. Yung commander-in-chief of the armed forces also, prime minister ang hahawak under ng executive power. Okay. So ano nangyari? Okay, so yung 1973 Constitution bago ito maging effective ay dapat ma-ratify ito. Sino ang magra-ratify nito? Dapat ang magra-ratify nito ay tayo, mga tao, sa pamamagitan ng plebiscite. But doon sa 1973 Constitution, hindi siya nag-hold ng plebiscite kasi alam niya matatalo yung Constitution. Hindi ma-implement. I-reject ng mga tao. So, ipinospone niya yung plebiscite. And then, because President Marcos feared that the public might reject the new Constitution, instead of holding a formal secret ballot vote, the government organized citizen assemblies. Bumuo ng mga citizen assembly. Sinong bumuo nun? Siyempre, tinuturo niya, ikaw, isa ka sa miyembro ng citizen assembly. Bawat lugar may citizen assembly. Siyempre sila pumipili ng mga tao na ilalagay nila doon. And then yung citizen assembly ang nagbutuhan. No? Take note, hindi secret balloting. Taasan lang ng kamay. Oo. Okay, ang tanong, pumapayag ba kayong ma-implement ang 1973 Constitution? Oo o hindi? Okay, siyempre, mananalo yung oo. Kasi taasan nga ng kamay. Pag hindi ka nagtaas ng kamay, bukas mawawala ka na sa mundong ito. Ganun ang mga patakaran ni Marcos ng araw. Okay. So parang ano to, parang coercive, undemocratic, di ba? Okay, so 'yon. Okay, ito yung mga topic ng pambutuhan, nataasan ng kamay. Ratify the Constitution, and kung itutuloy ba yung martial law o hindi. Kasi yung martial law, laging ano to, pinopostpone ni Marcos yung ano, supposedly, yung martial law ay mag-e-end na, pero ginagawa ni Marcos lagi niyang ipinoprolong. Kaya napakatagal nating na under ng martial law. Okay, under the martial law, suspended ang writ of habeas corpus. Ano ibig sabihin ng writ of habeas corpus? Alam niyo ba yan? Oh. Kaya ako ba politics niya? Oh, dapat alam niyo yan. Yung writ of habeas corpus, ito yung batas na pagka may inaresto ka, dapat ay dalhin mo sa korte. Hindi mo dapat dadalhin kung saan-saan, sa korte lang. Sinuspend yun ng martial law. Kaya yung mga arrest ay kung saan-saan na lang tinatapon, binabaril na lang, tinatapon sa ilog. Nililibing ng buhay. Wala nang litis-litis pa. Suspended nga kasi under martial law ang writ of habeas corpus. Okay. And then another topic doon sa voting ay to place a moratorium on election for a period of at least several years. Pinahinto ang lahat ng election process, electoral process. No? Kung kailan magustuhang ituloy ang election, doon lang magaganap. Okay. Okay, and then in 1976, the citizen assemblies were held once again. Nagkaroon na naman ng citizen assembly to decide on the continuation of the martial law. Ayan. And then afterwards, the president also became the prime minister. No? Dati hiwala yun eh. Si Marcos ay president lang dapat eh. Hindi siya ang prime minister. Para masarili niya yung kapangyarihan, siya na yung president, siya pa rin yung prime minister. No? Okay. He continued to exercise the lawmaking powers until martial law was lifted. Okay, 1980. Noong 1980, ang retirement age lang ng mga chief justices ay 70 years. Ano? Ay, hindi, 65 years lang dapat. Ganun naman sa government, di ba? Pag 65 years old ka na, obligado ka nang mag-retire. Ang ginawa ni Marcos, para wag mag-retire yung kanyang mga trusted na mga chief justices, ay in-extend niya ito ng 70 years. Okay. So yung mga judges and justices ay nag-serve ng longer, potentially ensuring more loyal appointees kasi ang nag-a-appoint ng mga justices ay president. Okay, so para ma-prolong yung kanilang power o yung kanilang stay in power. Okay. So ginawang yung parliamentary system ginawang French style semi-presidential system. Okay, dito sa French style semi-presidential system, yung elements ng presidential at saka ng parliamentary ay pinagsama. So si Marcos remained a powerful executive But a prime minister was also appointed to handle the day-to-day government operations. Noong 1984, the executive committee, which had been part of the parliamentary structure, was abolished. Na nagkaroon na ng posisyon ng vice president, which had been eliminated under the 1973 Constitution. So, itong move na to ay naka-aim ito at creating an image of political normalization. Gustong ipakita ni Marcos na hindi naman siya diktador. No? Kaya may mga pinakikita siya sa tao na mga moves na nagpapakita ng normalization and preparing for eventual political transition. Okay? So, itong mga pagbabago na to ay it reflected Marcos' efforts to maintain tight control over the government while adjusting the political system to adapt to both internal and external pressures. Okay. Next. Okay, so yung Constitution, 1973 Constitution was effectively used as a tool by President Ferdinand Marcos to retain and consolidate executive powers. Inabolish niya yung Senate. Pinasara niya yung Senado. Para wala na siyang kalaban. So it eliminated one of the key checks on presidential authority. Kasi dati may check and balances yan eh. O para wala nang check pa, wala nang ano pa, sinara niya yung Senate. Dineclare niya sarado na. Wala nang senators. Okay. So ang nangyari, yung form of government natin noong panahon niya ay authoritarian presidential system. Powers was highly concentrated in the hands of Marcos, allowing him to rule by decree, no, mga decree na lang, presidential decree, and control all branches of the government during martial law. Okay. Okay, nagkaroon ng mga kaguluhan noong 1980s, ano? Nagkaroon ng increasing unrest and opposition to the Marcos regime. Gumugulo na yung lipunan dahil nasawan-sawa na sila kay Marcos. Rally dito, rally dyan. Aresto dito, aresto dyan. Maraming pinakulong. Kasama nang ipinakulong ni Marcos, si Ninoy Aquino, yung husband ni Cory Aquino. No? Kasi yun ang kalaban niya sa politika. Ang ginawa pa ni Marcos ay gumawa siya ng mga kaguluhan. Ano? Para nga naman para nga naman hindi ilip ang martial law. No? Nagkaroon ng gutom, no? Corruption, mga human rights violation under martial law. So yun ang naging fuel ng public discontent. Dumami ang mga rebel groups and opposition movements gained momentum during this period. Okay, and then noong August 18, 1983, Benigno Aquino Jr. was assassinated doon sa airport, sa tarmac. Okay, ikinulong siya kasi ni Marcos. Dito ikinulong yan sa Port Magsaysay, sa Nueva Ecija. Now, ang nangyari, ang ginawa nga ni Marcos, di ba, doon sa ating yung kay Cory Aquino. Ang ginawa ni Marcos, pinakulong itong si Ninoy Aquino at pinahirapan. No? To the point na nag-hunger strike na si Ninoy Aquino in protest doon sa ginagawa ni Marcos. And then nagkaroon ng pagkakataon na humiling siya. Actually, humiling siya kay Imelda Marcos. First Lady Imelda Marcos, na kung maaari magpapagamot siya sa abroad, magpapa-bypass siya sa kanyang puso. Pinayagan naman ni Imelda. Ano? At ang sabi ni Imelda, sana huwag ka nang bumalik. No, kasi nga naman, kung papatayin nila si Ninoy Aquino, ay maraming mga media makakaalam eh. So mas mainam na nga na nandun na lang siya sa abroad, hindi na siya pwedeng bumalik dito. So yun ang pagkakaakala nila. Nung gumaling si Ninoy, sabi ni Ninoy, ang laban ay nasa Pilipinas. Kaya bumalik siya dito sa Pilipinas. No? And then pababa pa lang siya sa hagdan ng eroplano ay binaril na siya. Nung binaril siya, bumagsak siya sa tarmac, patay na agad, and then biglang initya itong si Galman. Tatandaan niyo ba si Galman? Siya ang itinuturong hitman daw. Siya raw ang pumatay kay Ninoy Aquino. No, galing lang sa banyong yung bangkay ni Galman, initya lang sa tarmac. Si Galman ay taga San Leonardo, Nueva Ecija. No? Okay, so ganun ang mga pangyayari. Kaya noong 1986, dahil hindi na makayanan ng mga tao ang pahirap, nagkaroon ng EDSA Revolution. Yes. Where Corazon Aquino was won the presidency doon sa election na ginanap. Actually, dinadaya rin yung election na yun eh. Kaya lang hindi nila nadaya. Dahil hindi nag-aklas na ang mga tao. Sumugod na sa Malacanang yung mga tao. Niransak na yung Malacanang. So, ginawa nila Marcos, sumakay ng helicopter, yung madadala nila, dinala nila, naiwan pa nga yung libu-libong paris ng sapatos, mga paintings na mamahalin sa Malacanang. Okay, so yung assassination ni Aquino, it galvanized opposition to Marcos, sparking widespread protest and international condemnation. And then, noong 1986, nag-declare gustong patunayan kasi ni Marcos na siya pa rin ang gusto ng tao. Kaya nag-declare siya ng isang snap election para lang patunayan sa US. Kasi ang sabi ng US ay bumaba ka na sa pwesto, hindi ka na gusto ng mga Pilipino. Ang sabi ni Marcos, hindi, gusto pa rin ako ng Pilipino, patutunayan ko sa inyo. Gumawa siya ng isang snap election, yun na nga. Na dinadaya niyang pilit, pero hindi niya nagawang madayain. Yung mga nagbibilang ng boto doon sa PICC ay nag-walk out. Lahat ng nagbibilang ng boto roon, isa-isang nag-alisan. Dahil hindi na nila matiis yung mga idinidikta sa kanila. What time is it? 4? Okay. Three pa lang. Okay, so after nung EDSA People Power Revolution in 1986, President Corazon Aquino aimed to restore democracy and rebuild government institutions following years of authoritarian rule under Marcos, and recognizing the need for a new legal foundation, she decided to draft a new constitution. Okay, noong March 1986, President Aquino proclaimed a provisional, or shall we say transitional constitution. Ito yung tinatawag na Freedom Constitution habang ginagawa yung 1987 Constitution. Okay. So yung Freedom Constitution lasted for about 1 year, giving time for a constitutional commission to draft a permanent constitution. Of course, a constitutional commission was created to draft the new constitution. The commission consisted of appointed experts, mga legislators, mga lawyers, mga public figures, tasked with creating a democratic constitution that would prevent the return of authoritarian rule. Ang aim ng constitution, mawala na yung authoritarian rule ni Marcos. Okay. And then, of course, the draft was then submitted to the public for ratification. Ayan, totoo, yan yung totoong constitution, inapruban ng public, pinagbotohan ng lahat ng tao sa pamamagitan ng plebiscite. So, the 1987 Constitution restored the presidential system of government. Dinalik natin sa presidential system. Emphasizing the separation of powers and checks and balances na tinanggal ni Marcos. It strengthened civil liberties, human rights protection, and mga democratic institutions. Okay, so itong constitution na to ay nakadesign ito para ma-prevent yung mga pang-aabuso sa power like those experienced during the martial law. Okay. Ayan, na-discuss ko na kanina. Okay, and on February 2, 1987, the Constitution was finally drafted. Okay, ang nilalaman ng 1987 Constitution ay ang mga sumusunod. May preamble. So the Constitution begins with a preamble that expresses the fundamental purposes and guiding principles of the Filipino people. Mayroon itong 18 self-contained articles, focusing on a specific aspect of government, rights, or national policy. So it was a democratic, ang key principles ito, democratic and republican state. Meaning that the government is elected by the people and exists to serve their interests. Sovereignty resides in the people again. Ano? So, ibig sabihin ng sovereignty resides in the people, lahat ng government power emanates from the people and must be exercised according to the will of the people. Nagkaroon na separation of powers. Nagkaroon na ng executive, legislative, and judiciary na restore. No? So, itong 1987 Constitution, it establishes the Philippines as a democratic republic. Pag sinabing democratic republic, it is ruled by the people. Ano? Dem is people, and crazy is rule. So, pag sinabi nating democratic republic, rule of the people ang mangyayari. Okay. Okay, so yan na, executive branch headed by the president and cabinet. Okay, so president is the head of state pero limitado na ang kanyang power. In case of national emergency, the president can declare martial law but not longer than 60 days. Si Marcos dineclare ang martial law for 10 years. Okay, yung Congress can revoke or extend martial law. No? Hindi na katulad ng ginawa ni Marcos. The Supreme Court may also receive declaration of martial law. Okay, so the president and vice president are elected by a direct vote. Ibig sabihin, tao mismo ang bumoboto, hindi mga representative lang. So divided into two houses ang legislative branch, Senate and House of Representatives. Meron tayong 24 senators. No? The House of Representatives also composed of ilan na nga ba ang ating ano? Ang representatives natin ay 80% of the total members in the House. May mga party list tayong representatives. Okay, so kung ano yung nangyayari ngayon? Yun na, 1987 Constitution na tayo. Okay, so ang term ng House of Representatives ay 3 years lang. They may be re-elected but cannot serve more than 3 consecutive terms. 3 times lang na pwedeng ma-re-elect. Okay, yung party list system para daw makapag-provide ng participation of underrepresented community sector. Okay, yung Congress may also declare war. The President can veto or stop the bill. Halimbawa, gumawa ng batas ang Congress, pwedeng i-veto ng President ito. Pero magiging batas ito kung magkakaroon ng election ang lahat ng mga congressman at makakakuha ito ng 2/3 votes. Ayun, Congress may override the power through 2/3 votes. Okay, the judiciary branch, of course, the Supreme Court, 15-member court, 15 members, appointed by the President lahat yun, na hindi na kailangan ng confirmation ng Congress. Okay, so ito yung mga ng Supreme Court justices may hear, appeal, or case dealing with constitutionality of any law, cases where questions of jurisdiction or judicial error is concerned, cases where penalty is sufficiently grave, and etc. Okay, nagkaroon din ng 3 constitutional commissions. Yung Civil Service Commission in charge of government personnel, yung Commission on Election, ito yung nag-a-administer ng election laws and regulations, and Commission on Audit, ito naman yung nag-e-examine ng mga transactions and lahat ng property accounts of the government and its agencies. Okay, so nagkaroon ng ways kung paano mababago ang Constitution. Ito yung tinatawag na charter change or CHACHA. 3 pamamaraan, by Constitutional Assembly, Constitutional Convention, and People's Initiative. Okay. Okay, so that ends our discussion. Okay, get 1 whole sheet of yellow paper.